Viduta Vibrama Vijnana Viduta Vibrama Shoshasa Gamindra Ivajitashvaya Shoshasa Gamindra Ivajitashvaya Paridyupanta Manujanuvartita Paridyupanta Manujanuvartita Nishamya Bhishmoktam Atachyutoktam Nishamya Bhishmoktam Atachyutoktam Pravritta Vijnana Viduta Vibrama Pravritta Vijnana Viduta Vibrama Shoshasa Gamindra Ivajitashvaya Shoshasa Gamindra Ivajitashvaya Paridyupanta Manujanuvartita Paridyupanta Manujanuvartita Nishamya Bhishmoktam Atachyutoktam Nishamya Bhishmoktam Pravritta Vijnana Viduta Vibrama Pravritta Vijnana Viduta Vibrama Shoshasa Gamindra Ivajitashvaya Shoshasa Gamindra Ivajitashvaya Paridyupanta Manujanuvartita Paridyupanta Manujanuvartita After listening, Bhishmoktam, what was spoken by Bhishma Deva, Atta, as also, Achyuta Oktam, what was spoken by the infallible Lord Krishna, Pravritta, being engaged in, Vijnana, perfect knowledge, Vidhuta, completely washed, Vibramaha, all misgivings, Shashasa, ruled over, Gam, the earth, Indra, the king of the heavenly planets, Iva, like, Ojita Ashrayaha, protected by the invincible Lord, Paridyupantam, including the seas, Anuja, the younger brothers, Anuvartitaha, being followed by them. Translation. Maharaj Yudhishthir, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhishma Deva and Lord Sri Krishna, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge, because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas and was followed by his younger brothers.
So, here is a responsible monarch, Maharaj Yudhishthira. It is not that some rascal gets some vote and somehow or other he sits on the president's chair and secretly doing all nonsense. Just like your President Nixon is now detected so many things. The monarchy was not like that. Yet it is clearly said, Pravitya Vijnana Vidhuta Vibram. Vijnana Vidhuta. Maharaj Yudhishthira was thinking that for me, so many people have been killed, so I have become very, very much sinful. I am not fit for sitting on the throne, such a responsible throne. But his misgivings were dissipated by the words of Bhishma. Bhishma, his authority. Next to Krishna, Bhishma is one of the authorities. There are 12 authorities Shambhu Narada Shambhu Kopila Kumara Manu Prahlada Bhishma Janaka. They are the authorities of piety, religion. There are Mahajana Jina Gatasya Pantha. We cannot decide what is actually piety, religion. But if we follow Mahajana, great authorities, then certainly we are unmistakable. So, Yudhishthira Maharaj, now, all the Pandavas, along with Krishna, they have come to Bhishma for taking his last instruction. He was lying on the bed of arrows for death. His father's benediction was that Bhishma would not die unless he desires to die. He was a very avowed brahmachari, truthful. And Bhishma recommended in the Rajasya Yajna that Krishna is greater brahmachari than me. Although I am brahmachari, but Krishna is greater brahmachari. Why? That I am brahmachari, I have avoided association of women. But Krishna, he was a young boy and he had so many young girls friends, still he was not sexually agitated. He is the greatest brahmachari. That is the recommendation given by Bhishma when Shishupal was criticizing Krishna. Bhishma supported Krishna that what kind of brahmachari I am. He is greater brahmachari than me. I think I could not save myself keeping myself amongst the young girls. No. But Krishna can do so. He is real brahmachari. So, therefore, his another name is Achyuta, never falls down, infallible. Every living entity is fallible. Only Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Brahma is fallible. What to speak of others, demigods. Brahma was attracted by seeing the beauty of his daughter. Lord Shiva was fallible when he saw the beauty of Mohini Murti. So what to speak of others? And Indra, Chandra, they are all fallible. Only Krishna is infallible. All others fallible. Therefore, Pravitta Vijnana Bhishmoktam Atha Achyutoktam. Achyuta. Krishna was addressed by Arjuna in the battlefield, Achyuta. Senaya Rubhayar Madhye Rathasthapaya me Achyuta. Achyuta. Achyuta means he was addressing Krishna as Achyuta because he was feeling rather little hesitation that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has voluntarily accepted the position of my driver, and I have to ask him, Mr. Driver, please take me there. I have to order him. And he has to carry. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has taken the subordinate position of carrying order of Arjuna. Therefore he purposely addressed him, Achyuta, my dear friend Krishna, don't mind, I am ordering you, but you have promised to carry out my order. You are infallible, so kindly do not take into mind. I am ordering. This every word used in Shastra has got so deep meaning. Senaya Rivhar Madhya Rathasthapaya, he could address him, Krishna, no, Achyuta. You are correct to your promise, always. And again, another place, Krishna says, Kuntya pratijanihi nami bhakta pranasati. Krishna asked Arjuna that you declare to the world that my devotees will never be vanquished. Why Krishna asking Arjuna to declare? He could declare. He could declare, but the meaning is that sometimes for the sake of his devotee, he breaks his promise. For the sake of his devotee. Just like Bhishma. Bhishma promised, Krishna, tomorrow either your friend Arjuna will die, I am determined now, or you have to break your promise. Because Krishna said, I will not fight. But when Arjuna was practically devastated by the arrows of Bhishma, he fell down, his chariot broke, everything, shattered. Now Krishna saw, now Arjuna is going to die. So immediately Krishna took the wheel of the chariot and went to the front of Bhishma. Now you stop, otherwise I will kill you. So this is fighting. So Bhishma saw, now Krishna has broken his promise, I stop. So, to keep the promise of Bhishma, that Bhishma promised, either Arjuna will die or Krishna will have to break your promise. Two things. So Krishna said, yes, I am breaking my promise. Don't kill Arjuna. Therefore, for the sake of devotee, he sometimes breaks his promise. But if his devotee promises, I shall do it, Krishna will give him all protection. Yes, it must be done. In all circumstances, it must be done. This is Krishna. If his devotee promises something, that this must be done, Krishna gives all protection. Therefore here it is stated, Ajitasraya. You cannot be successful without being Ajitasraya. Ajita. Ajita means Krishna. Nobody can conquer him. Ajita. Jita means conquer. Nobody is there who can conquer Krishna. But Krishna also can be conquered by his devotees. Just like the gopis, they conquered Krishna. Krishna, accepted that, my dear gopis, the service which you have rendered I cannot repay. You have conquered me. There is no possibility of my repaying you, your service. You better be satisfied with your service, that's all. So Krishna's name is Ajita, Achyuta. These are Krishna's different names. So, Maharaj Yudhishthira, not that here I am getting the opportunity of becoming a prime minister or president, let me jump over like monkey. Not like that. Not like that. He was convinced by the instruction of Bhishma Dev, by the instruction of Achyuta, when he saw that if I sit down on the throne to rule over the world, I will be right in my position. That is Maharaj Yudhishthira. Not only Maharaj Yudhishthira, all the kings who was emperor of the world, they are of the same nature. Same nature. Therefore they were called Rajarsi. Imang Rajarsayo Vidu, Evang Parampara Praptam. Rajarsayo. The Bhagavad Gita is meant for the Rajarsis, king, but they are saintly person. Therefore they are called Rajarsi. Raja and Rishi, both combined together. Rajarsi. So all the kings in those days, they were all Rajarsis, not this rascal president. So Maharaj Yudhishthira ruled over the earth. Now it is clearly stated, Paridhupantam, up to the limit of the seas. That means all the seas, the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, the biggest oceans, the Indian Ocean, that means the whole world. Here is the proof that formerly the emperors in Hastinapur, Maharaj Yudhishthira, he ruled over the whole world. There was only one flag. That is also stated. Up to the time of Maharaj Parikshit, there was no division. The whole world was Bharatvarsha. And the emperor of Hastinapur, they ruled over. Paridhipantam. Anujanuvartita. He was not alone. His brothers, Arjun, Bhim, Nakul, Sahadev, great fighters, great commander-in-chiefs, generals, they were at his command. Anujanuvartita. Whatever Maharaj Yudhishthira will order, otherwise how could he manage such great empire? He had generals and commander-in-chief like Arjun and Bhim, indefatigable. Nobody could conquer Arjuna or Bhim also. Maharaj Yudhishthira personally, he did not fight. His brothers were sufficient to fight for himself. As in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was not fighting, but his brother Arjun and Bhim was fighting. So, very quick, Maharaj Yudhishthira completely, scientifically, Vijnana Vidhuta. Vijnan means scientific. Jnana and Vijnan. Jnana means ordinary knowledge. And Vijnan means practical knowledge. Just like in science, BSc, one has to pass the theoretical examination and practical examination. Without passing practical examination, theoretically you may know hydrogen and oxygen makes water. Now, in the laboratory, you have to pass the examination how to transform into water two gases, hydrogen and oxygen. This is Vigyan. So, he eradicated his ideas. He was thinking that he was wrong. So, when everything was clearly explained by Bhishmadev, Vijnana Vidhuta Vibhrama, scientific. The sentiment in the Shastras, there is no question of sentiment. In the Vedic knowledge, everything is Vijnana Vidhuta Vibhrama. Education means to purify the knowledge. Because we are all born animals. Abodha jata. Abodha means one who has no knowledge. The animals, children, they have no knowledge. Just like we will see the behavior of small children and household cats and dogs, their behavior is almost the same, no distinction. Because in that stage, everyone is abodha jata, born fools and rascals. But the animals, there is no chance of educating them. Whereas human children, there is chance of educating them. Therefore, in the human society, there are educational institutions. Children are sent there for education and they become learned scholars later on. And if they are fortunate, by good education, they become Vijnana Vidhuta Vibhrama. Vijnana Vidhuta Vibhrama. By instruction of high personalities, Mahajana Jena Gata Sapanthya, Bhishma is also one of the Mahajan, great authority. So, this is the position of Maharaj Yudhishthira, that completely being confident, completely being freed from all ignorance, then he sat on the throne. Just imagine what is the position of this monarch and these rascal so-called presidents. There, Sanatana Goswami presented himself, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. He presented, both of them presented themselves before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Neech Jati. Neech means lowest grade, Jati, born. But actually, they were born of very high grade Brahmana family of Karnataka. But why they presented themselves as Neech Jati? Because that is explained in Bhakti Ratnaka, that because their behavior on account of mixing with the Mohammedan kings degraded, therefore they considered themselves as Neech Jati. And that is confirmed by the Shastras. You may take birth in high Brahmana family, But by association and culture, if you become degraded, then you have to be designated as such degraded person. Not that you become degraded, at the same time you keep yourself as Brahman. That is not possible. Jasahi jat lakhanam sha varnabhibanjakam. In the Shastra it is said that there are symptoms of varna. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, you will find the symptoms. Who is a Brahman? So these are the symptoms. Sattva, sama, dhamma, titikha, arjava, jnanam, vijnanam, astikam, brahma, karma, sabhavajam. So, if you don't find these symptoms, then how one can become Brahman? That is not possible. Therefore, in our Krishna consciousness movement, we are trying to develop these symptoms of Brahman, not by birth. To educate them, how to become sama, dhamma, titikha, arjava. So therefore you should know that you are not born in the Brahmana family. It may not be very hard word, but actually it is mlecha javanas. Mlecha javanas means the cow flesh eaters, meat eaters. They are called mlecha javanas. Especially mlecha means cow eaters. So you are coming from the mlecha javanas family, but you are being accepted as Brahmana. Why? For the symptoms. You are being trained up to acquire the symptoms, samadhamma titikha. If you think that now I have got the sacred thread, I have become victorious. No. You must always examine yourself whether I am possessing all the symptoms. Otherwise, no, good. Simply by a thread, it do not become. Sutrameva hi dijattam. There is a Kali Yuga, it is said, a sutram. Sutra means this thread. If somewhere or other one gets this thread, he will think himself he has become Brahman. No. To become Brahmana is not so easy thing. One must acquire all these qualities. Sama, dhamma, titikha, arjava, astikam, jnanam, vijnanam, brahma karma sabhav. Unless so you must be always alert whether you are fixed up in the symptoms, then you are qualified Brahman. Otherwise, you are again the same category as in India. Some of them, they are simply claiming to become Brahmana on account of being born in a Brahmana family. No. That is not this. Just like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana. Actually, they are born in Brahmana family, but they knew that we have lost our culture due to association with the Mohammedans, always. Therefore, he presented himself Neech Jati. Neech Jati, Neech Karma, Neech Sangi. If we deteriorate in our symptoms of Brahmana, then that is not Brahmana, that is not qualified Brahmana. Therefore, it is a Vijnana. Vijnana viduta vibhrama. Everyone is uneducated. Everyone is born rascal and fool. He should be enlightened, elevated by Vijnana viduta. Vijnana viduta vibhrama. This can be achieved when one is interested in the matter of self-realization. If one is interested. Atma Tattva. Parabhavasthavadabodhujat. Javanna jignyasata Atma Tattvam. If one is not interested in understanding his identification, what he is, Kiyami, Kana More Jape Tapatra, as Sanatana Goswami presented himself before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his question was, Kya? Tadvijnanartham gurumeva abhigachet. Strictly according to Vedic principle. Sanatana Goswami approached the spiritual master, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Tadvijnanartham. What is that? What I am? To understand this. Tadvijnanartham, the Atma Tattvam, self-realization, to become a disciple of his spiritual master, unless there is awakening of this knowledge, to know what I am. There is no need of making a show, accepting a spiritual master. There is no need. Tasmad gurum prapaddita jignasu sreya uttama. For whom guru is needed? The guru, spiritual master, is not a force. Then let me have a guru, nice guru, then I become perfect. And if you do not follow the instruction of guru, first of all you must have a bona fide guru. And if you follow, then your life is perfect. So two things must be correct. The guru must be correct and the disciple must be correct. Then the business will be correct. Either of them, if guru is incorrect or the disciple is incorrect, there will be no action. So, therefore Bhagavad says, Tasmad gurum prapaddeta jignasu sreya uttamam. Who shall approach? Tad vijnanartham sa gurumeva vigacche, according to Vedic instruction. Everyone should approach a guru. But who is that everyone? One who is jignasu, athata brahma jignasa. One who is inquisitive to understand what I am. Am I this body or something else? That is beginning of spiritual instruction. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, the first instruction to Arjuna was to know that beyond this body there is the soul. Dehinasmin yatha dehe kaumanam jauvanam jara tatha dehantaram prapti dhirastatra. The first instruction. Their so-called spiritual institution, spiritual system, but they do not know that what they are. The bodily identification. Anyone who is bodily identified, there is no question of spiritual instruction. He is an ass. Jasyatma buddhi kunapi tidhatuke saeva gokhara. The first spiritual instruction is one must be convinced thoroughly, vijnana viduta vibhrama, that he is not this body. I am not this body. Aham brahmasmi. This realization. I am spirit soul. I am part and parcel of the Supreme Brahma. Krishna is the Supreme Brahma. Para Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhava. So, Mamai Vangsa Jiva Bhuta. Krishna says all the living entities, they are my part and parcel. So when the living entity understands that I am part and parcel of Krishna, Krishna is Parabrahma, So I am not Parabrahma, I am not the Supreme Brahma. Then Mayavad philosophy, they mistake this. Because I am Brahma, therefore I am Supreme Brahma. No. Supreme Brahma is Krishna. I am Brahma because I am part and parcel of the Supreme Brahma. Just like in your country in America, you are American and the President Nixon is also American. Because you are American, therefore you are not President Nixon. That is rascaldom. President Nixon is different. Similarly, because you are Brahma, that does not mean you are Parabrahma. Parabrahma is Krishna. There must be distinction between the Parabrahma and the individual Brahma. This is Dvaitavad philosophy. And the Mayavad philosophy, they say, because Parabrahma is Brahma, I am also Brahma, therefore we are one. No. You are one qualitatively. Brahma, as Brahma you are one. But as Parabrahma and Brahma you are different. This is Achinta Bhedave, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. Simultaneously one and different. As Brahma, we are one. But as Parabrahma, Vibhu and Anu, the Supreme is Vibhu, all powerful. I am Anu, infinite seemer, infinite and infinite seemer. So, Maharaj Yudhishthira, when he was firmly convinced of his position, then he took charge of ruling over the whole world. Not just like at the present moment, India is a small tract of land, and that is also being divided now. Bangladesh has gone out, Pakistan has gone out. Someday some other province will go out. Not like it is the whole world. He took charge of ruling over the whole world. Sasasagam Indra iva. Indra is the king of heaven, heavenly planets. So, as Indra is powerful, and nobody can, even Indra is never defeated. Sometimes there is fight between the Devasura, Asura and Deva. But when there is fight between the Deva and Asura, Deva means the demigod, and Asura means the atheist class. They are always existing, the atheist class. Two classes are made, atheist class and theist class. Vishnu Bhakta Bhave Daiva, Asurastad Viparjaya. Those who are devotees of Lord Vishnu, Vaishnava, they are demigods. And anyone else, all demons. Except Vaishnava, everyone is a demon. You can say, I am the devotee of Lord Shiva, how can I be the demon? Yes, you are demon. Because Ravan was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but he is described as a demon, Rakhas. Hiranyakasipu was a great devotee of Lord Brahma. Still, he is described as Rakhas, demon. So, if you are devotee of the demigod, he can become powerful for some time, just like Hiranyakasipu became. He took benediction from Lord Brahma that I shall not die at daytime, at night time, on land, on sea, on the sky. I shall not be killed by any animal, by any demigod, by any man, by any... So many ways. Definition by negation. Not this, not this, not this. First of all, you want to make me immortal. And Brahma said, I am not immortal, how can I make you immortal? That is not possible. Then he thought, I am intelligent enough. I shall indirectly become mortal. I shall not be killed in this way, I shall not be killed in this way. No animal can kill me, no man can kill me, no demigod can kill me. I shall not die at night, I shall not die in daytime, not on the land, not on the sea, not in the sky. In this way, whatever imagination he could manufacture, he settled up, now I am immortal. But Krishna is so cunning and intelligent that he kept all the promises of Brahma, still he was killed. Hiranyakashipu. He was not killed at daytime, he was not killed at night, he was not killed in the sky, not on the land, not on the sea, on the lap. Hiranyakashipu, he did not think that I'll have to die on the lap of the Supreme Personality of God. That was his fortune. Anyway, so this is the way. And here it is said, Sasasa Gam, Indra Iva. Indra, the demigods, they are always protected by Vishnu. Always protected. Whenever there is fight between the demigods and the demons, Lord Vishnu takes the side of the demigod. Therefore, Indra is Ajita Asraya. He is confident that I am protected by Lord Vishnu, Ajita. Similarly, Maharaj Yudhishthira also, when he was assured that I am also protected by Krishna, I am also enlightened by the instruction of Bhishma. My brothers, such big brothers, Bhim, Arjuna, they will follow my instruction. In this way, when everything was incomplete, Vijnana Viduta Vibhrama, then he accepted the throne. This is monarchy, this is king. Thank you very much.
ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की इस डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
We would all do like that, you see, we each given a flower and then we would give it to him and Srila Prabhupada would give us a flower in exchange. And occasionally he would stop and say something to one of the devotees, and we were all sort of hoping that he would stop and say something to us. I remember I had been staying there in the temple for about 2 weeks, and one day he stopped, and when I offered my flower he said to me, "Oh, you're new here?" And I said yes, and he said, "Are you happy here?" And I said yes. And he said, "Very good." And took the flower and he continued. But it was very exciting. That was the most exciting part of the day, as we'd all line up kneeling on either side of the entranceway into the temple. And the children would run down the middle, and Srila Prabhupada would show them some extra affection and play with them a little bit. Show them different flowers until they found one they liked. He was always very, very affectionate with the children.
The exchange of flowers that started in Los Angeles after Prabhupada came back from his morning walk was just one of the sweetest and most memorable exchanges that I've ever had in my Krishna conscious career with Prabhupada. Prabhupada would go on the morning walk, and typically he would go to Venice, but not always, Venice Beach. And then when he returned, prior to the greeting of the deities, the devotees would be prepared for him in 2 lines, and all the children would be there. And it was such a sweet time. Everybody was so happy that it's so obvious that the children also sort of enjoyed the whole thing. The whole atmosphere was just completely enjoyable and family-like. this wonderful, wonderful exchange of flowers with Prabhupada. And then this was going on outside the temple. I mean, we could have done it inside the temple or something, but it was just there being done as Prabhupada dismounted from the car, and we were right there on the street and greeting Prabhupada right when he first arrived there.
Prabhupada got out of his car, and as he got out of his car, Prabhupada had his foot there, and Dinanath hopped down, grabbed Prabhupada's foot, had Prabhupada's foot in his hand, and he was kissing Prabhupada's feet. And I'm like a new devotee. I'm like, he's kissing his feet. You know, the feet are considered to be the most objectionable part of the body. Not something that you would bend down and kiss. And I'm looking down, and Dinanath just completely ignored any kind of social convention. He had no concern for what anyone was thinking. And he was just kissing Prabhupada's feet, and I just remember I couldn't believe it. And Prabhupada just let him do it, and it seemed like for it to turn out, I can't believe it. He was kissing his feet. But, Dinanath got the mercy.
So Srila Prabhupada, it was so personal in his dealings with the devotees, and that was one aspect that was so attractive to people in the early days of the Krishna consciousness movement. You see how Srila Prabhupada, he always relished reciprocating love with his devotees. It simply wasn't Srila Prabhupada asking for service or demanding things from his followers, but Srila Prabhupada always wanted to give back. And when Prabhupada would come to the temple in LA, I always think that's such a nice example of that, how Srila Prabhupada would reciprocate with us this bhakti, this exchange of love, by giving flowers to the devotees as we would line up along the pavement. It was very sublime, because Srila Prabhupada, he was never rushed. You know, we would give him a flower, and then Srila Prabhupada would give us a flower. And I always think how Srila Prabhupada said that love is an exchange of feeling. You need two for love. And I remember he would, sometimes when we would give a flower and then he would give one back, Prabhupada would just stand there, so when we bowed down, we could put our head right on Srila Prabhupada's feet. And he was always had this very ecstatic, blissful smile, and you could see that Srila Prabhupada loved us in such a way that was practically incomprehensible, because he saw us as these lost particles of spirit soul from Lord Krishna, and he was so happy to play a part in bringing us back to Krishna's lotus feet. That's me. Whoa. Didn't expect me there. So this was just a real highlight in my life of being able to, get a flower for Srila Prabhupada and give a flower back to Srila Prabhupada. So simple, yet so sublime. And there was always one devotee who would block Srila Prabhupada's walkway, his pathway into the temple, just so he could get to ask Srila Prabhupada for his mercy or to say something to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada never ever got disturbed or agitated that this person was being so bold in his approach. He would always just shake his head wonderfully or touch the devotee on his head with a blessing. So we all felt that this was a very special time where Srila Prabhupada was really giving us a blessing. And when he was handing us this flower, it was like, Prabhupada was touching our heart with that flower, that soft lotus petal of his flower-like glance.
shortly after this exchange, everybody would follow Prabhupada into the temple, and there was the greeting of the deities. Prior to this, at least in Los Angeles, I don't think that there was really a formal greeting of the deities ceremony. So I believe this basically introduced the greeting of the deities ceremony as we know it today. At least it certainly did in Los Angeles. And then typically on many mornings, Shilabhati would fill the deity room with frankincense, clouds of frankincense. And then when she opened the doors, the frankincense would often billow out into the temple, and there would be this sort of cloud of frankincense, which also to me was very mystical, and Prabhupada bowing down. And then afterwards he took Charnamrita, and then he would proceed to his Vyasasan. And I remember Vishnu Jan leading us in the Samsara prayers. One time Prabhupada, at the end of the singing of the Samsara prayers, said very gravely, Samsara davana lilithaloka, and then he said the whole first verse, and he said, what is the meaning? And everybody was stunned, because probably a few devotees knew, but after being quizzed like that from Prabhupada, nobody knew, and then one person recited the English meaning of the verse. But Prabhupada then said, that we should all know what the meaning was.
It wasn't too long after I joined that the Govinda prayers started to be played in the morning. The album had come from England, that Radha Krishna Temple album. Just one morning it happened. It seemed quite spontaneous that the deity doors opened up and the Govinda prayers went on. And Prabhupada went through as normal, offering his dandavats in front of each altar. But when he went around and he sat on the Vyasasan, tears were coming down his face. He was so pleased by the Govinda prayers, and he wasn't able to speak for some time.
We were celebrating, I believe it was the appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Prabhupada gave a lecture, and he was saying how he had not done any service for his spiritual master, and he was thanking all of us, implying that without us his service couldn't have been rendered, when in actuality it was only by Prabhupada's mercy that we were able to render any service. And so he said, because I have nothing to offer to my Guru Maharaj, I'm going to offer all of you. And then Srila Prabhupada went and he performed arti to the deities, and he offered us to his spiritual master. I don't know exactly the spiritual process, but I definitely felt the result of Srila Prabhupada's kindly connecting us with his Guru Maharaj. And then after Arti, Srila Prabhupada turned and started dancing, and the word can't really be understood in terms of what Srila Prabhupada was manifesting. It's more like when Lord Chaitanya is described, and he was dancing in a circle like a firebrand. It was like one continuous movement. Srila Prabhupada was hopping up and down across the temple room, back and forth. And the entire, place where we were, the whole space, was immediately transported to another dimension. We were really out of the material world. And, I was a very young devotee, and I remember to this day, just my crying, tears running down, my face, and realizing how Srila Prabhupada was actually entering into our hearts, and he was cleaning them, he was purifying us, so that someday in the future we'd actually be able to render devotional service.
We were sitting in Srila Prabhupada.
His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,